Hey guys, it's Sid with SVTPerformance.com, and like I promised in our earlier Mustang Week video, we're back at J&L Oil Separator Company. I'm going to just give you guys a little walkthrough, let you see what they've got going on, and we're going to talk about sort of the history of the J&L Oil Separator Company and JLT and sort of how all this came along. So back in 2003, Jay and Lisa Tucker created JLT True Cold Air. So they got a little booth over there, making all the cold air intakes that everybody's enjoyed for years. And they just recently made a deal with S&B intakes, which those guys are huge over on the diesel and truck performance side. So S&B has taken over the cold air intake side of things, and that's allowing Jay and Lisa to just focus on oil separators now. And I was talking to Jay about where they got started, and it sort of all rolls in together. So the first application Jay created a intake for was the 03 Cobra. And anybody that remembers back in 99 Lightning days and 03 Cobra, so basically those earlier supercharged intercooled applications from Ford, we'd pull the blowers off of things and you would always find a pool of oil down in the turkey pan, the bottom of the intake manifold underneath the intercooler. And what was happening was the PCV system, which would be these little connections right here, is pulling oil out of the crankcase and dumping it into the intake manifold. And on those boosted applications, that was a big problem because that oil would go through the supercharger rotors and coat the intercooler core and basically just cause performance issues. Not only are you reducing the efficiency of your intercooler core by coating it with oil, you're also introducing oil into your combustion chamber, and oil actually lowers the octane rating of fuel. So you're getting a double whammy there. You're heating up your air charge while reducing your effective octane level, and that can lead to knock and all kinds of other issues. Now that's on those older supercharged applications, that being a problem. That's why we started running oil separators, and I mean, this was back before Jay was even making these things. We'd go get an oil separator for like an air compressor or something, and we just plumb it in, and that's all we had. But Jay came along, designed his kits, and what's great about them, these things are just absolutely bolt-in. They're made specifically for each particular model, and you see this Bronco one is a double tall version because Broncos tend to put a lot of oil through the system. So if you've got the room, it's nice to run a double tall can to collect more oil than say a Fox body that's not driven all that much. But you get really nice hose kit with all these shrink sleeve connections, OEM connections in here, so you're not having to cobble together a bunch of stuff. That's what I really like about Jay's systems, is you're not having to just go out and make your own like we used to back in the day. But that leads me into the EcoBoost market. So everything Ford makes now, basically, if it's not electric, it has an EcoBoost engine, at least as an option. And on these, there's another issue besides just pulling oil in and messing up intercooler core, because intercooler's down here, not an intake manifold on these. The issue with the EcoBoosts are, specifically some of them are worse than the others. That 2.7 is not as bad, but like the 2.3 EcoBoost and the 3.0 EcoBoost, you don't have the second set of fuel injectors spraying fuel on the valves, and that allows that oil to get coked onto your intake valves. So this is one of the displays they're showing here. You can see a clean valve versus a dirty valve. Now both these valves are used, but one has been exposed to a lot of oil going through the intake, hitting the backside of that hot valve, and it just builds this coke material up. So this is hard carbon. If you had a port fuel injector spraying on it, it would not be nearly as bad, because that fuel injector sprays fuel on the backside of that valve, and essentially the fuel acts as a solvent for that oil before it has a chance to just build up and foul the backside of that valve. This leads to all kinds of problems: premature valve guide wear, seat wear, seat leaks, you can lose compression. I mean, there's tons and tons of issues. You want to keep this crap off your valve. So if you don't have that fuel injector spraying on the backside, that's when these things can come in really handy and just keep the oil from getting into the intake tract to begin with. So if you've got an EcoBoost without dual fuel injectors, these are a godsend because you're just asking for problems. So I've always ran an oil separator on all my vehicles that I have the ability to put them on, just because you don't want this ending up down in your intake manifold. You can see the amount of oil this Fox body produced in 222 miles. Now this is not doesn't look like a very hard used and abused vehicle, but you know, the tolerances are a little bit looser on these old push rod motors than is the newer EcoBoost and things like that. But still, you're getting this crankcase pressure bringing oil up through the track, through its hoses, into the catch can, separates it out. Now you're getting clean air going into the intake. Way better solution. So if you guys are interested in these things, reach out to J&L Oil Separator Company. Make great products. This is about their, well, this is their Gen 3, but they've been through a couple of different iterations that didn't actually get its own generation number. And there's a little metal mesh filter inside of these. None of these display ones actually have the filter. This is just for show. But it just collects all that oil right down in here. Then you can just dump it out or pour it back in the crankcase, whatever you like to do with it. But the important thing is keep that stuff from running through your engine, because you're just asking for more problems. Lower octane levels, coating up your valves. If you're on a supercharged application like Terminator, GT500, things like that, you're coating up your intercooler cores. Nothing good comes from not having one of these. That's all I can say about that. So hope you guys enjoyed this and enjoyed the last Mustang week, because looks like this is going to be the last one. And if you need one of these things, hit up Jay and Lisa. They'll get you hooked up. As always, thanks for checking out SVTPerformance.com, your home for the latest news, reviews, and information on your favorite Ford-powered vehicles and Broncos.